put a remote view into your stomach? Oh, yeah, there's a lot of shit fucked up in there, honestly.
Welcome back.
22nd Street Podcast.
Strangest podcast on the block.
Today we're going to be talking about remote viewing. The U.S. Did some research on this topic back in the 1950s, early 1960s, for about a 20-year period, ended around 1995. Around when it started, the U.S., we were at war, the Cold War. Some weird crap was going on, experiments, stuff like that, LSD.
MK Ultra.
Yeah, there were tons of other CIA things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just going to kind of chat about all the different things that we were kind of dabbling in that time period.
Well, and the thing is, how you're saying 50s, 60s, that's kind of when these ideas got put into the CIA's head, that there was psychic abilities that were pretty serious or should be taken seriously, because Russia had some people that were rumored to be able to bend spoons and stuff.
Move objects with their mind, right?
Yep, and so we got into this whole thing of remote viewing, and, on and off throughout that period, from the 50s all the way up to the 90s, because of critiquing and different things, it kind of got shut down and reopened. So it went on even longer than the 20 years or whatnot.
Yeah,
it's just different projects and different things. They were renaming it. So a big thing that kind of happened is MK Ultra, and that changed how they had to approach experimentation. And then I think there was a lot of experiments that were in the public eye at that time. With the way that the Cold War that was going on, they wanted things to be in the public eye because they wanted people to know in the U.S. that, the U.S. is the best. Anything Russia can do, we can do it better, so on.
Yeah.
So,
at this time, though, nobody knew MK Ultra was going on. Nobody knew that was a thing. Got declassified.
Some people, they had to be careful because people figured out about MK Ultra. Later on. So it's just that's why I'm saying it went into the 90s because it just lasted a while.
Yep.
But
So they were giving like LSD to people. Well, they were first, and they kind of became interested in the whole mind control thing, right? So they were kind of like, "Hey, man, we can program, people to be drones, sort of like kind of vibe." Or
the big thing about MK Ultra was, I don't know how experiments were conducted and whatnot, but a bunch of government people got their hands on LSD because basically they're like, okay, buy up all the LSD that you can find, and we want to do all these experiments. Well, they just started handing it out to government employees and giving it to people non-consensually, like the government employees and stuff would.
Just like people were like dropping acid unknowingly,
yeah.
Yeah, one dude even ran out of a glass hotel window and killed himself.
That was kind of why MK Ultra was stopped, I believe, is because that guy he that was a government person.
They were literally torturing people.
Just imagine just all these people just tripping balls, just like
in the worst way possible,
not having any idea. Right.
So, you guys ever seen Workaholics?
No,
I've seen the show. There's a local on there, Adam Devine. Shout out.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. One of my favorite comedians. But there's this episode, I think in the last season, where the three main characters were training these other three characters, and they were pulling pranks on everybody in the office. And the three main characters were getting fed up. They were like, we're done with these pranks. We kind of want to actually work. And then the whole office ganged up on them. The three main characters and then the three characters that they were training put acid into the coffee. And the whole office was in on the prank. And then they all drank the coffee. And then all six of them walked in to where they were drinking the coffee. And they were like, there's acid in the coffee. And everybody falls down. And then the three people who were training weren't in on the prank. And they were like, fuck this. And all ran off and then scared them off.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Don't do that to people that you know.
Don't do that to your coworkers.
Especially
guys.
since, like, acid was, like, in its prime or whatever at the times of MK Ultra, and now people just lace drugs with everything.
Right.
Like, if someone said that that's what it was back then, it probably was. Now there's so much on the streets.
Is this still, like, prominent like it used to be?
Mm-hmm.
LSD? God.
Yeah, I don't think LSD is. It's not actually even that it's laced. I think most of the time it's just different chemical compounds that are out there.
Oh, they just, like, whip up.
Yeah, something that'll give you similar effects and things like that, from what I understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of gel tabs out there that it's like synthetic LSD.
Right, just
That's
like they,
not
what do they call it, like Spice? They used to do like K2 and sell it in gas stations. It's like oregano sprayed with chemicals that was supposed to replicate
God.
weed, and it would just like, people would go insane off of it.
Man, that's like, what did they do by even like presenting LSD? Like, look what they've done. Like now, just introduce like a whole world of like psychedelic drugs. You know what I mean? Just from like these experiments that.
But also
went
have
awry.
covered up a whole world of psychedelic drugs.
Right.
Oh,
That's
sure.
the thing about this viewing, the remote viewing, that really like got me interested even more. You know how skeptical people are of things that the government did.
Sure.
It's like, okay, you have to have like some healthy skepticism, but just straight up saying, all right, they wasted like what, 40 years on experiments, dude. The U.S. government does waste a lot of money, but they were dedicated. They knew something. They were like chasing something, obviously.
Right.
Kind of reminds me of Stranger Things. You know, they kind of did like a MK Ultra thing in there too. They had like these rooms where I think they would like give people drugs and stuff. There are all kinds of movies and stuff out there, but I feel like Stranger Things is a pretty good one and on that kind of thing. You know, Eleven is one of the people who kind of has those psychic abilities, and she actually does the remote viewing at some things. They like put her in water. And then she has to like, she like blacks out and she can see a specific thing. That's kind of the idea with the remote viewing, is that you can close your eyes or you can put yourself in an environment that's quiet and you know, you can imagine at least places or things, or you know, say I was thinking of something, Carissa would be able to at least maybe not see the exact thing I'm thinking of, but maybe some hints at it if she tries hard enough. And I think that, I don't know, I guess I'm not super skeptical, but
Oh yeah. So before we started recording, we tried it for ourselves, just to see what it was about. You guys wanna?
Well, and the thing is, I think we all went into it with a pretty open mind, knowing that we're not people who are out here like experimenting with psychedelic things or with psychic things all the time.
Right.
So, you
It's
know,
like
we're
three
just
friends,
chilling. We're just
like-
people that decided to do it. And actually, I think we did a handful of rounds, maybe like 10, where we would just take turns guessing and writing down. And so we put ourselves in different rooms. Each person wrote something on a piece of paper, and we have the other person try and think. There were some times where we were close, and then actually Carissa, we told her to think of a number, and then we said 2 numbers. Okay, so she's in here, and
Between
Tanner and
1
I
and
both.
20.
Yeah, we both wrote down a number next to each other, and Carissa named them just immediately.
I just really shouted out.
It was
13 and 7.
Yeah, that was super weird. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, you can. Some people can guess things, and I get that that's what a lot of people are skeptical about. They're like, okay, you know, how right were these people? Because I think in the experiments they figured out they were technically with assistance on finding missing people, murderers, things like that. The psychics that have been used in the government were only 15% accurate, which means they're 85% inaccurate. But I think that comes down to like certain people, their abilities, their environment. I mean, if we were just three friends chilling and you could think of two numbers that, or you were kind of saying that you like projected them out there.
Yeah, I kind of sat in here, and I was just thinking like 13-7, 13-7. Just kind of closed my eyes, and when I was ready, I just kind of shouted it out, and it was like I was like kind of trying to see if I could reach out to you guys on some level, and like.
And see, I think that's important when it comes to this stuff, and I think that's another aspect of it is I think both participants would have to be willing if you're trying to think about things, and then when it comes to finding people and things like that. I think the person who's searching in their remote viewing, like in their head, they have to be in a really good place.
You have to
free
be
of distractions.
You have to be really in tune with the person that you're doing it with,
and maybe even your own body. I think that's a big
your
thing.
own body also.
Mm-hmm.
It takes practice. You can't just say, "All right, let's do this." You got to work at it.
Right. That's why we were probably like 1 for 8.
Yeah, the government did 20 years of research on it, so I'm sure that there's a perfected formula on how to remote view where you can do it just like that, but I don't know if it's exactly out there to the public or not.
Yeah,
Right.
and one of the people that we came across, the one that gave us the idea to do this episode specifically, is you were watching a video, Tanner, and they were talking about how there's this guy named Joe McMonagle, I believe is his name. And actually, I did a little bit of extra research on this guy, so I got some stuff to drop. So he, I guess, was a part of the Operation Stargate when I started looking into it. And, when they disbanded this stuff, these people still went on and lived their lives. Some of them, I think there was some weird stuff that happened with certain things. But so he was just living his life, and I guess people will supposedly call him and ask him to help find people and stuff all the time, so he can do this remote viewing. And I guess there was this kid that, they would have normally been like, when the police are searching for people, it's like past the point you search for living people, you're just looking for a body at that point. But the sheriff, I believe, that was looking, he called Joe McMonagle, and he called him once. They were skeptical, so it didn't really work out. The guy told him, Joe McMonagle said something specific. He said, look, and then I don't know what direction he gave.
He said to go up the hill a certain number of steps at a certain time, right? Like counting your steps up this hill.
Was that the first thing that he said, or did he say it the second time around? Either way,
right.
The first time they didn't really believe him. They're like, well, that's way too specific.
Oh, they were in a room. He gave them a sealed envelope with something written in it, and then they got it, and then they random generated numbers, and then I think got a book, went to the page that random generated the number, that they random generated the number to, and then had them go down a certain amount of words, go to the word,
Oh,
and then
like
he got it.
the exact word.
So they were like testing him first.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So.
I don't know. It's weird though to me that you would like have to test someone before you try and get them to find a missing kid.
I'd be like, just tell me right now. We need to
tell
find
me,
this kid.
and I would listen.
Yeah.
But I guess they were too skeptical, so they did a test, and then eventually he just said, yeah, a certain number of steps down or up a hill, which I guess kids normally don't walk whatever the way that this kid would have.
And,
but his dad specifically told him.
There was walk to where you see the light.
That's
and
what
there
his dad
was
told him, yeah.
There was a light at the top of the hill, and
there was a cabin right by it.
Yep, there was
so the
a
kid was
cabin.
like staying in the cabin, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy.
And then they seen the light, went to it, and found the kid.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So one of the things when I was just looking at all the experiments that were going on during all these times that were related to the psychic stuff, a lot of the people who they tested with, and I don't remember if Joe McMonagle is, but he has some sort of institute that he refers people to. I think it's the Monroe Institute, which I think might be some like Scientology stuff. I'm not entirely sure, but there were a lot of members that were Scientologists, like a lot of the psychic people.
Oh.
So,
okay.
which means they're probably high profile, like either celebrity or they had a lot of money at the time. And, they probably had the opportunity to try and perfect things with other people or whatnot. But I think those people actually, I don't think they did that well. So I guess money can't buy you psychic abilities, but...
Sure.
I got something that I was thinking about.
For sure.
The guy you said, what was his name again?
Joe McMonagle? I don't know if I'm saying that right, by the way. That's how they say it, but it is not spelled that way.
So there's a TV show out there. I know you've seen the TV show. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it's called Psych.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that's based off of him. Yeah, so in Psych, there's a police detective and his son. And the son goes to a crime scene. I don't believe the dad is a police detective at the time. He's retired. But the son, he's goes over the detectives working at the time. Or maybe he sees a crime on TV. And then he calls in and he's like, I know exactly what happened. And then he tells them. And then he was right and they caught the bad guy or whatever. And then he gets in jail. And then I think he shows up to a crime scene and he's like, I know exactly what happened to him. And then he was right again. But then the whole story, he goes and then he becomes a part of, he opens up his own agency called Psych. And he works with the Santa Barbara Police Department. And I think that's based off of remote viewing because all he does is,
That's more.
it's stuff he's seen. Like he goes to the crime scene and looks at everything, and then is able to piece together everything, like exactly what happened.
I think that's an important thing too because his in the show he's not like actually a psychic. He is just really good at catching details and then recollecting them. Like, have you ever seen the episode of SpongeBob where he's in his own head and like in his brain and he's like going through file cabinets and stuff? It's like this dude knows exactly where everything's at in his head and he can just recall anything that he remembered. And so it helps him solve these things. He's like, well, like he always comes up with the most logical like thing for everything. And that was something that I was thinking about when I was watching these people is, some psychics, not in the same respect that we're talking, like remote viewing is a little bit different. But they'll basically like bait you into telling them things that
like the
are like
kind
too
that
much
are like on
information.
TV, just trying to get publicity and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what Psych I feel like is like he collects a lot of details, but I was also wondering, how many people with this remote viewing stuff are like that. And there was this episode of 60 Minutes. It was a flashback. I think that one was from the 70s where they were doing another flashback at the experiments and stuff, which also there was some other weird stuff going on. They had people with cut in half ping pong balls on their eyes and they were like spinning them around in chairs and stuff.
Or like suspending them in like water or hanging them up or like stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and then playing static in one dude's ears, like just
like
always
sensory deprivation, just trying to like shut out,
sensory overload. That's crazy, man.
Like just like complete darkness and just like
that
just
would
like
mess
whatever.
with my head, man.
Man.
I go crazy. I think that whole thing is like a way to trip. Don't try it at home, but I think the ping pong balls on your eyes and the static thing makes people trip.
I think I've heard that too. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, it doesn't have to be like the thing about ping pong balls is you like see out the white. I believe.
So it's almost
like
you're
not
given,
like closing your eyes. You're not able to think of anything really. I think it's like a visual hallucination that you get from that and the static noise. It's weird. It's
like almost taking away humans' like complex eyes and just giving them like a simple eye, almost like a fly has. Like, all right, maybe it's a fly. Some insects have like you can only see light and dark.
Right.
Like that's gotta be insane. Like you can't discern anything else.
Well, and on that video, I was feeling like kind of skeptical because they got this guy from I believe like Israel or something. And he was a psychic, known to be a psychic there. He would the weird thing about him is like all these psychic people have different things that they do. So supposedly he would take their like broken watches and wave his arm over them, and they just work. So and they brought in a broken watch, and he's like, I did 5 yesterday, like after he couldn't do it there. But then the thing that got me on him was they were doing the drawing thing, like what we were doing, and that's kind of where we got the idea to do that. They were drawing, and this guy draws like a bird, but it's made out of like triangles almost. So it's weird and distorted, so it would have to be really specific. And the guy who is supposed to be the psychic, he's saying, I don't know, he's drawing, he's like a bee. And he's like, I don't want to be wrong, like I really don't want to be wrong, but this is really like strong. And he just draws a bird, and I'm like, dude, how did you get that out of triangles that were made to look like a bird?
That's wild. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, like like I feel like there's like those kinds of psychics, and then there's like definitely like the crazy, like almost like, for lack of a better term, like evangelist type psychics that are just trying to.
Oh my god! I know we keep talking about shows, but have you ever seen Nathan For You?
No.
Okay, so he's like really sarcastic, and he gets he just does crazy stuff. So like one of the things he did was I'll just have to go into this to like preface what the show's like.
Sure.
So he's like about revamping businesses and stuff. So he's like, okay, this local electronics store is going out of business. Well, why is that? Well, because Best Buy has a price matching policy. And so they're like, okay, well, we'll do that, but we'll put Best Buy out of business. So what we'll do is we'll make our TV, say it's a $500 TV, we'll make it like $5 or something. And then Best Buy has to price match it because it's a local competitor. But what we're going to do is then they put the TV behind a door that you have to crawl under. Under that door is an alligator and all this stuff. But they're like, it is a real ad. So I don't remember if Best Buy ended up doing that, like price match or whatever, but it was just funny. But one of the things they do is this lady, she's older, but she's struggling with being a realtor. Oh, okay. And he's like, well, you have to be like niche. You have to like, you have to cater to something. And it's like, no, real estate agents do kind of have like they want to sell a specific type or price range of house and stuff just based on how you go. But he's like, no, you have to be like the ghost realtor. He's like, you have to sell houses as if they're haunted, as a pro of living there. And so they like went to a house, and she was, they brought like a psychic that works specifically with ghosts. He has this big neck beard with a fedora on. He's talking about all this stuff, and it actually, it resonated with her. It was weird.
Oh, she liked it? She liked doing it? It worked?
Yeah, so he brought her up to the bedroom and talked about like abuse and how he felt something weird, and she's like, and related it back to her, and she's like, there's no way, because like when I was in a specific country and like that happened and it was really specific, and she's like, well he's like, well, that demon's here. And so then they got an exorcist and they God. Did some weird stuff, and what is it? Exercise? He exercised her.
In the name of the Lord.
No, he was doing it like that. He was like, whoa, and she's like shaking, and this is all like supposed to be sarcastic. So Nathan's just eating it up.
Oh my god! It ended up just like being legit in a way.
Yeah, it did. That dude's holy water. That's a great show. Watch Nathan For You when you're done watching this, of course.
Right.
But.
Yeah, man. And do you remember, I just thought of that episode of Family Guy where they're making fun of, what was that one psychic's name? John Edwards. And it was like he used to have like a show, and he would have, like a live studio audience out there. And, he'd like call people in the audience and try to help them. And, so in Family Guy, like, he called on somebody. And the guy was like, or John Edwards was like, oh, okay. I'm sensing someone whose name starts with an A, and the guy's like, no. He's like, B, no. C, no. And he's like, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and the guy goes, P, P. Oh my God, you're a wizard! Like,
dude, that feels like okay. I don't want to like deep dive into this too much, but those weird like culty evangelist churches where they are traveling and they're super sketchy and you have to pay a bunch of money to have like your kid healed. And somehow in like all the promotional videos, someone's like dragging their kid by their foot and they're like, he can't walk. And the kid's like, Mom, stop!
Like the kid's just like, why the hell are you dragging me by my leg down the aisle?
Hey, he could walk yesterday. Well, we broke his legs, so fix him. And then they'd stand up and walk or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a different kid.
We just broke Timmy's legs in the hallway before coming in here right now.
Yeah, I don't know. All that stuff kind of puts off the same energy.
Right.
Like the fake ones that communicate with ghosts. The people who are with like organized religions and cults and things like that.
Right. Anybody that's just like trying to make a profit off of that, like you gotta question.
Plus, it's so easy. It's like something you can't see physically, so
Right,
you just have
there's
to
no way
go
to
off whatever
prove it
the
is proof.
person's saying.
Right. You just gotta eat it up or deny it, you know, because like, well, there's no way. So
You
no way
know-
to know.
Did we ever give that HemiSync update?
No.
While we're on this, because I think we should also, you know, try this remote viewing stuff, maybe study it a little bit more, and then we can try again, because we just had, like, that was a good baseline. We could report back, but Tanner, you did HemiSync again, so you want to tell us about that?
That was so awesome, man. What you were telling us, that is some crazy stuff.
I need some more practice at it.
Well, are you, like, even in control, though? Can you practice it?
Yeah, you can definitely practice.
We can go through
it.
the whole gateway experience.
Yeah,
That's true,
wrap
but
it
a lot of
around.
people get tripped up all across it. You know, they wonder what. I joined a Discord. I don't know if I
Oh, really?
told you
Has
guys
anything
that. I
come?
joined a Discord about the Gateway experience just to kind of see what people were saying, and they like had a chat channel for every level of it, or
Yeah,
you know,
there's
step of the way, and people get tripped up. I think the most like fails happen pretty like fresh. You know, you just start off and
Oh, like
the
they
first
get
one
freaked
you
out
can't
after
get past the
couple?
first tape or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but HemiSync, the update.
Yeah, I did it again. I got really relaxed. Didn't exactly go into it with something in mind, something to come out of the experience with. So I don't think I benefited from doing it again enough to go into detail about what happened. But
For
I'll
sure.
do it again and
For
update you
sure.
guys on that.
I'm gonna do that again too.
And I think I'm gonna try it maybe tonight. We'll see.
You know, we should like try it as a group and report back about what it's like.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe, and like all three of us do it and just kind of see.
Yeah.
I'm down.
But yeah, so HemiSync, the inventor of HemiSync, was also kind of a dude that, yeah, well, he started the Monroe Institute, right? Which I think.
Oh, shoot.
Part of
So
the Monroe
that-
Institute.
Man, a lot of these guys. I wonder if there's like this secret group of people that knows about, you know, some stuff, and they just have these details on it, but can't quite get there. But I think the Monroe Institute teaches about remote viewing. Is that, do you guys touch on that in the the HemiSync episode?
No, we didn't touch on that at all.
That's
Yeah,
just
it was something I
cra-
found out today. Because I remember Tanner mentioned it, that the guy that invented HemiSync was kind of like a psychic himself, or just
Yeah.
a consultant for CIA.
I think we forgot to go into the Monroe Institute in the HemiSync podcast.
Well,
but
yeah, there's a lot to be said. That's something we can still kind of like tiptoe around it because I haven't done enough research, but I just know that, you know, when I hear about these people like the Joe McMonagle and stuff, I believe, yeah, they said that they were a part of that. And maybe it's something where the CIA sent them there, maybe it's something they did on their own, but that's kind of where they were recommending people to go for this stuff.
Right.
Which is crazy.
To like what kind of like exacerbate their education on it, or learn how to kind of enhance or harness the abilities and stuff like that, right? So
Well, the fact that, you know, HemiSync is somehow related to this, it does make sense. You know, getting in a relaxed state.
and having like
Thinking.
using audio binaural, I think is the term, binaural, because it uses both your ears, different frequencies in each ear, like you talked about, Tanner. like
It
the
kind of has
vibrations. Yeah.
that same effect too as we were talking about, like the static, but it's like a maybe more calming thing than static playing in your ears.
Right. Yeah. I know that HemiSync, was invented by Monroe, and that he supposedly had, out of body experiences. The first one coming as early as, oh man, I forget the year. I'd have to look it up, but I think it was in the 50s, late 50s maybe. I know all this stuff happening around that time, and then in the 70s he kind of started some official research in it, but he had frequent out of body experiences. It almost sounds like, Ty, how we discussed sleep paralysis, almost like experiences like that, like body vibrations, but then not being able to move, and then like having like hallucinations. It sounds like that's kind of what he experienced for the first time, and that's what really opens his mind to.
And that was
that
something
sort of
that
stuff.
I came across too on when I was watching all these videos, just kind of on different experiments and things, is that some of the people who did the remote viewing, they actually got far enough to do the out of body experiences, like, they wanted to, so they put themselves in that situation, and they'd be able to remote view, and then like go to a place. It's like almost like lucid dreaming while you're awake.
Right. Like
Pretty crazy.
So, another question I wanted to ask you guys is have you seen the words astral projection tossed around? Because isn't this kind of like sound like that? Astral
I'm
projecting,
not
like
super
leaving
familiar.
your body,
Yeah, okay.
and being able to travel places mentally, or via your spirit. I guess is kind of like what astral projecting.
Which they say
Does-
that not everyone can, like, okay, so we'll do a thing real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Close your eyes, both of you guys. All right, and then picture a horse. Can you guys see a horse in your head? All right, now can you make it spin around in circles?
Mhm.
All right, so you guys both have the regular, an
Yeah.
ability that not everyone has.
Yeah,
for
we're
imagination.
we're not NPCs. It's like
These are real fucking people, dude.
70% of people can't, and 30% of people can, or something like that.
Visualize
Yeah.
things with their eyes closed and like in their head.
Yeah.
Their imagination just doesn't go that far, I guess.
70% is the stat.
I don't know
People
what the
can't?
stat is, but
Oh.
it's not out of the ordinary for people to not be able to do that.
I guess I take that for granted. I just assumed everybody kind of could.
It's like a
For real, try two horses.
a picture imagination.
Yeah, no, but
When you gather information, your mind puts it into a picture. Your consciousness gathers that information, I guess, and puts it into a picture or something. I don't know how it works.
That's wild. Can you do it, Ty?
yeah, I was, that was something I was thinking about too, though, when we were doing our experiment with remote viewing. I, for the life of me, could not put anything in my head. Like, it was just black when I closed my eyes, which is not normal for me. Normally, I can't get the thoughts to stop flowing and whatnot. So I was just waiting on numbers and stuff to show up, but it wasn't really happening. I think if we think too much, it can take you to the wrong place too.
Right.
Yeah, I think something that gets brushed up on about remote viewing that we haven't talked about is you can do it every day if you're able to get into thoughts and be able to see your thoughts. I grew up as an athlete, and most of my coaches drilled into us. You got to be able to imagine yourself in the place you want yourself to be in. Like in wrestling, we're sitting there doing drills. We'll be sitting there drilling by ourselves, and the coach will be talking, telling us what to do. And it'll be like, imagine you're in a match. You got a guy in front of you. Then you, after a hard practice, you go home tired, laying in bed. Maybe you get done with a practice right before a meet. You're laying in bed, visualizing, all right, this is what I want to do tomorrow. I don't know what guy I'm going to face. I don't know what match it'll be, but this is what I want it to be. And to sit there and go to sleep imagining what I'll be able to do the next day. And I mean, I did that for football and wrestling mainly. I would sit there and kind of daydream about what I would think would happen in the game, or picture myself in situations of, like game situations.
Like
And
somewhere
then-
where you're
Well-
like at an advantage or.
And
Yeah,
that's just like at its simplest terms, the law of attraction, which I
Yeah.
definitely believe in that too.
It-
And it's weird how all this stuff kind of relates back.
yeah,
I feel like we brought that up about 3 times already, right? Yeah. So.
yeah.
And it comes
It
into
is
play.
the law of attraction, but I mean, remote viewing is kind of the law of attraction if you think about it, because
It's like a
you're
stronger form.
putting your mind out there. You're wanting to gather that information that you're seeking, so you're trying to attract that to you.
Well, and the thing about the law of attraction is they basically say, you know, the law of attraction is more for things you want.
Yeah, you
long
put that.
term.
Yeah, you put that information out into the world, hoping that it'll be given back to you. In a sense, is what the law of attraction summed up is.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like karma, essentially, but a little bit deeper.
yeah,
And then the thing about remote viewing is it's like, well, maybe the reason that it failed so many times is because, you know, people could do the law of attraction, but maybe not, you know, right away. That's why I think it seems like a little bit of a deeper, like you have to be a little more mentally strong to be able to do remote viewing. You know,
Yeah.
that's one thing my brain just goes everywhere. So the law of attraction and things like that are just difficult because, you know, from day to day, I mean, you know, in different headspaces and things like that. Like I'm focused on one thing, but it's, you know, different the next day. And that's just
Yep.
kind of how life is. I feel like if you wanted to get really deep into conspiracies and things like that, you could say that
you could
the
say
government benefits from the way that life is now.
no. If you want to get deep into conspiracies, you can say that the government is trying to hide remote viewing and the things like that. Hemisync, maybe being able to get yourself to move objects with your mind, because I believe that's possible. They're trying to cover that up because the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids. There was actually people who took the limestone and moved it with their mind and placed it there because they're big ass fucking blocks cut with very good precision. Like we're not for sure how they did that shit back then, but
We are because
I
it was
mean,
slaves, but
nope. If you want to get,
Labor.
I said if you want to get deep into
I
some
know,
conspiracies,
but-
Yeah.
if you want to try remote viewing yourself, I'd say set a goal, visualize that goal, visualize yourself achieving that goal and what the outcome would be. Yeah.
getting something. Doctor, if you're the doctor,
And you're watching this right now.
shouts out.
Shout out.
Last thing is, I think Tanner had a interesting remote viewing experience.
Yeah, I was during this podcast just projecting out there that this podcast is going to get 500 views. Ramp it up a little bit. Thank you for tuning in.
Share with your friends.
Yeah, like it.
Like the video. Subscribe to the channel.
Peace, we out.